call the regular board meeting to order. All members of the board are present except board member Fletch and ex officio student board members Karkanis, Maurice, and Purva. Dr. Spicer, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve the following resolution? Resolved that the Board of Education of the Williamsville Central School District hereby votes to enter into executive session on April 21st, 2026, pursuant to Education Law Section 3020A, to discuss matters leading to the potential discipline of a particular person, and be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the Williamsville Central School District hereby authorizes the production of a particular person's personnel file to be presented in executive session on April 21st, 2026. Additionally, the board will discuss employment matters relating to other particular persons, medical history related to a particular person, current litigation, and collective negotiations. Motion, Mr. Manna, second, Mr. Bulin, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. a motion to return the regular board meeting to public session? Ms. Blackinger? Mr. Manna? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. I call the regular board meeting to order. All board members are present except for Board Member Viscalia. The Board of Education considered an appeal of the Williamsville Central School District's denial of the parent's request for homebound instruction for a student in the district during the immediately preceding executive session. May I have a motion to either deny or approve this appeal?
Motion to deny.
Mr. Manna is making a motion to deny. Is there a second? Ms. Poulin? All in favor to deny the appeal? Motion carried unanimously. Good evening and welcome to all in attendance. Please be advised that in the event of a fire emergency and an evacuation should be necessary, an alarm will sound. Please note all marked emergency exits and evacuate well away from the building. At this time, we request that everyone turn their cell phones and other electronic devices to silent. Thank you. We are on item 3A. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you for school spotlights.
Thank you very much, Board President. As you all know, our board meetings are exciting and we have a great time, but this is actually the best part of the board meeting when we do our recognitions. Tonight's spotlight focuses on Challenge to Change and elevating student voice. This year's summit featured more than 160 students, not only from our 3 high schools, but surrounding school districts as well. Challenge to Change provides a unique platform where students work together, share insights and perspectives, and empower each other to be agents of change. The summit emphasizes intergroup dialogue, allowing participants to share lived experiences and develop the tools necessary to foster inclusive environments within their respective schools. This year's event, very similar to last year's event, they were organized by Williamsville East Assistant Principal Courtney Charleston Smith and English teacher Lisa Azzarelli Brown, who will now share more on this incredible event. I ask you both to the podium. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us. I want to start out by telling
Is the
you.
microphone working?
I don't know. Okay, there we go. Hi. I just want to tell you that we are honored that you trusted us with such a huge endeavor. It's not easy that we can pull off something that involves our high school alone at such a large magnitude, but that also included the 2 other high schools in our district plus 3 others. We made sure that we included staff, students, and administration at Will East, North and South, Sweet Home, Cleve Hill, and Amherst to plan a full day of collaboration and sharing information with them. We took into account all the students' needs, wants, and also what we felt was important DEI related with our strategic plan. And our goal was to have our students learn in a creative environment, to collaborate and become effective leaders and allow everyone to be heard. By working together, we feel that this experience was made it possible for every single student in the room to feel that they not only deserved a seat at the table, whatever table that may be, from the point of view in that room, and taking those skills and transferring them to everyday life, to also having the power to shape the conversation. And that was the key for us, is that we wanted them to walk away being able to shape the conversation and be respectful and be heard regardless of who they are and what they believe in. The day truly encompassed our district, Williamsville District's belief in our commitment to DEI and also our strategic planning. And we'd like to specifically thank each and every one of you for trusting us, and the superintendents for believing in us and doing what is best for our kids.
Thank you.
Ad-libbing than I am, so I have something I'm going to read. I just want to say thank you as well. The Challenge to Change Multi-District Conference is grounded in a framework that aims to nurture leadership in all students. The conference focuses on 21st century college and career skills, such as taking initiative, communicating effectively, and setting goals. And it supports both Williamsville District strategic goals, as well as New York State social emotional learning and academic standards, by providing students with opportunities to develop as whole people. There is an energy that is palpable when students see that we, their trusted adults, put our words into actions by creating these beyond the walls of school opportunities for them to practice their leadership skills, challenge, pun intended, themselves in new ways, and to collaborate with students from neighboring high schools. This conference truly builds bridges among students and communities, and I am very proud to have been a part of this initiative in Williamsville, which is both my home district. As a professional, I student taught in the district in 94, 95, I'm not sure, and so as both an educator and as a parent. It speaks volumes about our district's commitment to both Williamsville's and New York State standards, not just in writing or in words, but most importantly, in action. On behalf of the students whose enthusiasm still resonates in our discussions with them, as well as in the feedback that we receive from the colleagues we worked with in other districts, and in the ideas that they've already suggested for next year, we want to say a sincere thank you. And on a more personal and professional note, thank you for allowing me to be part of such an inspiring, exciting initiative. And I want to thank Courtney because, as she mentioned, it is a huge endeavor. And so far, we're making a pretty good team. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to the second annual Challenge to Change conference.
Challenge to Change is an annual conference for student leaders from high schools all over the area where we get to take workshops and learn from people in a bunch of different fields about what leadership looks like to them and how we can have a positive impact on our schools.
Expand your leadership capacity. Expand what you think you want to do and make that thing bigger.
This generation is the next leaders of the nation, and as a whole, students are the ones who need to make the changes. And so I think everyone should be kind of encompassed in decisions and processes that are done in the future.
My name is Rowan Weiss. I'm from Willies. You mentioned that the goal of schools is to make you more human. What's your number one piece of advice on how to do that?
So one of the things you want to do in your schools is you basically want to get your seniors together or your juniors together or your sophomores together or your freshmen together and just say, okay, so here's the deal. Like, we are going to take care of everyone.
Students, especially at the time of our age, are going to enter the adult world. And I believe that collaboration is pretty important. Of course, Challenge to Change, being exposed to strangers and your friends, gives us that opportunity to, well, collab with people you know or you don't know, but with a subordinate goal, you know, in achieving a positive thing.
I think it just helps us know that we're not alone, that we're not the only people who want to make change, we're not the only people who want to lead, and just understanding that there are other people like you, and also understanding that it is possible to make big changes.
I feel like I have a much larger voice as a student in improving other people's, I guess, day. Like the conference was like fundamentally built to build more compassionate and kinder students, and I think that it definitely did that.
Awesome. Thank you very much again for your work.
Sorry, I'm going to be rude. I would be remiss if I did not thank Nick Filipowski and David for putting together this wonderful video for us, because he made us look great. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have a truly special recognition. In early April, the district was notified that Stacy Corio, an engineering and technology teacher at Williamsville North High School, had been named the New York State Engineering and Technology Teachers Association Teacher of the Year. This is a well-deserved honor, and we are fortunate to have Mrs. Corio as a teacher in our district. She sparks curiosity in the classroom and truly helps students unlock their potential. Let's take a look.
Looks great, right? Awesome. I'm super grateful to be awarded the New York State Technology Educators Association Award. I think if you asked anyone in the region, there are so many teachers that could be easily recognized as the recipients of this award. So I'm very grateful that my colleagues that I work with and the people in the area that chose me for this award, I'm very grateful. I'm liking the Spider-Man.
Super caring, a leader, responsible. She just really puts her heart and soul, and she's very passionate about what she does, and it shows. So I can't think of anyone more deserving.
I would describe Miss Corio as very optimistic and positive. She tries to be very upbeat for her students and accepting and patient. She's very patient.
I would describe Miss Corio as a really kind person who genuinely cares about her students and their interests. Last year, I made a full model, like a 1/4 size model of a house, and I want to go into architecture. So that was very impactful for me. She's an awesome teacher, and it's so nice to have someone who's able to push me to be better.
But those kids that have the light bulb moments, that really means a lot because you know that they're finally understanding what the concepts are and they're unlocking their potential. And I just love being able to share my knowledge with other kids and hope that, someday they'll be able to go on and do something related to technology.
I can't think of anyone more deserving of this award than Stacy Corio. She's absolutely fantastic teacher. She's one of the best. She encourages, nurtures, and inspires our students. And it is a privilege and an honor to work with her.
Please join me in welcoming and congratulating Mrs. Corio, recipient of the New York State Engineering and Technology Teachers Association of the Year Teacher of the Year Award. Also like to welcome, before you applaud, because Stacy's going to come on up, I'd also like to welcome Andrew Bowen, principal at Williamsville North High School, and Kevin Lasky, director of Science, Technology, Engineering, and STEAM programs for the district.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to honor one of our elite teachers at Williamsville North High School. Stacy's approach to instruction is that of like a skilled coach. She guides, she challenges, and she allows our students to think critically and push beyond their limits. In her classroom, students are fully engaged in the problem-solving process, learning from one another and growing in confidence. Stacy motivates with purpose and displays passion in everything she does. We are so proud of her, and we are proud to celebrate this wonderful accomplishment. Definitely want to share the podium with our Director of Science and Technology, Kevin Lasky.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. I also want to extend my sincere congratulations to Stacy for this well-deserved recognition. I wanted to point out that Stacy's passion and influence extends well beyond the walls of North High School. Just this past Saturday, Williamsville hosted the New York State TSA competition, an event where teams from all over the state came to compete at Williamsville North High School. This event was organized and facilitated by Stacy and was a culmination of about a calendar's year's worth of work. Her leadership at the event was admired, appreciated by all, as is her nonstop commitment to her students and the advancement of technology education as a whole. We are so thankful and lucky to have her here in our district. Congratulations, Stacy.
Awesome.
Thank you. I just want to say that I have been, working in the district for 21 years.
Wow.
And all of my time has been at North, and I have truly enjoyed all of my years here. I feel I have been really well supported by the district, and I think myself and my colleagues appreciate the tools and the resources that everyone in the district, the board, principals, the directors, like everyone that has given us those resources to teach the kids. I really appreciate that I've been able to do my job, and it's been fun and exciting. So I just want to say thank you for that. And also Nick Filipowski, like magic. Magic with your videos. So thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
All right, continuing on. Oh,
I turn it back over to you, Board President. Go ahead.
I misstepped.
No. No such thing.
Are there any board acknowledgements this evening? Dr. Spicer.
Yes, my microphone feels far away. I I just wanted to acknowledge the organizers and the participants of the Mill Craft Show this past weekend. The gym was full, just rows and rows and rows of really talented students and their family members. There were parents, grandparents, but there was also teachers everywhere, administrators, and it was just such a great showing of support for the community. And because I enjoy a theme and earrings, I am wearing a pair of earrings that were made by a 7th grader at Mill. And so, kudos to that person and to their counterpart, who is a fierce saleswoman. So I purchased more than I intended, but really great job. I know what a lift a big event is, and it was just really very impressive. So good for them.
Thank you. Any other board acknowledgements this evening? Ms. Poulin.
I will acknowledge Forest Elementary's 5K that they had on Saturday also, which was in competition with the craft fair. But Forest Elementary this year had 290 participants because the weather was exceptionally good. Raised $2,500 for the Punt Pediatric Cancer Foundation. So it's I learned that it is a sanctioned 5K that people from the community participate in preparation for the Boston Marathon. So it's this class, it's a certifying race. So we have lots of community members that participate for that reason.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Any other board acknowledgements this evening? Okay, we're moving on now to item number 4, which is public expression. I believe 2 folks signed up, but I do not believe either of them are here. So before we read the format, are either Paul or Crystal here this evening? Okay, so we have no public expression then. We'll move on to item 5. The 2026-2027 Code of Conduct is available for review and a 30-day public comment period. Any feedback may be submitted to the district through email at contact@williamsvillek12.org. Are there any questions or comments from board members regarding the Code of Conduct? Ms. Bluckinger.
I am part of the Wellness Committee, and during that committee, we reviewed the Code of Conduct, and specifically the past several months included review of the dress code policy. I'd like to make a motion to before I do that, let me just back up. So our last meeting was held in April. We were not able to complete our review of the dress code policy. So I'd like to make a motion to have the opportunity to do that in the month of May and have our committee members reconvene. I'd also like to add 2 teacher representations that we did not have. And I don't know how we would choose which teachers, but I would like to make a motion to include that option.
So we have a motion to reconvene the meeting and to also add teachers to the Youth Wellness Council that reviews the Code of Conduct specifically to complete the work of the dress code. Is there a second? Ms. Fletch, is there any discussion?
If I may, I really want to understand the reason why at this late stage, as you stated, Board Member Bluckinger, that you've been reviewing for the past several months, the dress code specifically, why now would we look to add additional teachers who haven't been involved in the process all this time? I would recommend that you reconvene the committee that has been working on the dress code policy. And next year, if the board has certain parameters that they would like to see of individuals on the wellness committee to specifically look at individual aspects of it, they do it at that time. I don't think it would be beneficial to add someone this late in the game to be on the committee to review the dress code policy when we already do have teachers sitting on the dress code policy. Yeah, we do.
Oh, who is that?
We don't have them listed in there.
They were all
Teachers?
administrators.
No. So I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be argumentative with you at all by any means. When you pull up the code of conduct, They're listed on page 4. I'm sorry, this is taking a minute to load.
Oh, no, please, because I didn't realize they must have never participated.
Well, I was actually at the April meeting at the beginning, and I had discussion with one of the teachers.
Well, I think if I can just jump in, I think the issue was they weren't involved in the specifically the dress code. They had things to say and the challenges that teachers faced regarding the dress code. I don't know, were the
I think we had teacher
delegation.
representation.
We,
So
we do not have teacher representation that have been present at any of the meetings this year, nor last year while I was on the committee.
Well, I'm not saying that they
Timothy Pinkowski
is a staff member.
and he's listed on page 4. I know that Philip Miller is a teacher also. He works as a parent representative in this capacity, but there was teacher representation on there. And he was at the meeting. I had spoke to
My
him at the
apologies.
April meeting.
did not realize that. I'd still would like to have a motion to have another meeting in May to complete the work of the dress code policy.
And I would support that if there wasn't enough time to review the additional dress code policy. I just ask that the board hold off with adding additional people until we can have a thorough discussion of who the board thinks is suitable to have on the wellness committee moving forward.
Okay, so if I, as parliamentarian, if I may, we have a motion. Is there a second for the first motion, which was to
We had the first
Board
and the
member
second.
Fletch seconded it.
Yes, it was Ms. Blackinger and then Ms. Fletch was the second. So now we are looking to amend the motion to strike having additional members, but to continue to have another meeting in May. So the motion is just to have the Wellness Council meet again in May to continue the work on the dress code.
That's correct.
So you made the motion as amended. Is there a second for the motion as amended?
I just wanted to ask a question really quick.
Okay, first we need the second. Dr. Singh is the second. Discussion, Ms. Fletch.
Oh, no, I mean, you're good with not adding anybody, right?
Yes.
Okay. That was it.
Okay. So we have first a second on that motion. Is there any discussion on the motion, Mr. Biscaglia?
It's not really discussion. I missed who did you say were the teachers, Dr. Brownhall?
It's Mr. Let me take our glasses off.
Doctors, yes.
It's the person that's listed as wellness facilitator on the code of conduct, who is also a teacher apparently. And there is a parent representative that listed as a parent representative, but is also a teacher, which is why that there was some confusion because they're not listed as teachers on the document.
So the wellness facilitator that is listed as a school counselor is a teacher?
Yeah, they're covered by the WTA, yes.
Okay.
My only concern with that is there's school counselor, not a teacher. It's different parameters when you're at work, but I do understand it's hard to implement new people when you're that late in the game. I'm not going to say that, but in the future for committees, I wouldn't count that as, I mean, yes, they're in the same union, but I look at that as different, jobs and what they do and interact with students. Not that it matters in this case, I'm just saying in general.
Right, because I still think the information and feedback they give to the committee is beneficial in the aspect that they even have a greater influence. They all have a great influence on students. They also can have, because they see so many more students from different levels also.
Right, I meant in the parameters of dress code and things like that. That's what I
No,
meant.
I get what you're saying.
Not
Because they're not in the classroom.
correct. Not that they're not good feedback. I didn't want it to come that way. We love our counselors.
Any other discussion on the current motion? Okay, all in favor then for the Youth Wellness Council to reconvene in May? Motion carried unanimously. We are now moving on. Was there any other discussion regarding the code of conduct before we move on? Not related to that motion. Okay. The Code of Conduct Public Forum is open to community members in attendance. Anyone wishing to address the board regarding the Code of Conduct only may go to the podium at this time. I do not see anyone approaching the podium, so we will move on. We are now on the superintendent report. Dr. Brownhall, I turn it over to you for items 6A, 6B, and 6C.
Board President, thank you very much. As I said before, our board meetings are great. This is another exciting part of the board meeting, the community update. And then when our students give their updates about everything happening in the school is another exciting part. So first and foremost, Portrait of a Graduate. I know the board and our community has heard about Portrait of a Graduate all school year long, and we appreciate the partnership with the PTSA Council for the Superintendent Speaker Series, and it debuted last week on the Portrait of a Graduate. Each video segment is available on the district's website. There were 29 interviews conducted and 26 different video projects used to highlight the portrait proficiencies. The detailed phase-in information is available on the Portrait of a Graduate informational page. Comments and feedback can be submitted online. And as we get more information, we'll share it with our entire school community and all of our stakeholders. But if you go to the Portrait of a Graduate informational page, there's a lot of information. It's very robust. So I encourage you all to do that. June Regents exams are scheduled for June 9th through June 25th. Students are only in school if they have an exam. We have linked the State Education Regents exam schedule to the community update. It will also be available online. Most of our schools include it in their school newsletter, and it is readily available for our students. Please keep in mind there are no exams scheduled for June 19th and observance of Juneteenth or June 22nd, which is a rating day. COGAC screener. So many of our parents have already received information about this, but this assessment gives information on how students learn. The results will be shared with families in late June, and they'll also be used to identify needs within the classroom and as one of the measures when considering students for gifted programming and services. The opt-in for students in grades K through 5 is available on the Wix Parent Portal homepage, and it closes this Friday. Parents and guardians need to opt in via Wix to have their child or children participate in the COGAC screener. Additional information is available on the GPS informational page. The budget vote and board elections will be held on Tuesday, May 19th from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at Williamsville North. The 2026 proposed budget is $248,168,844. The detailed budget report is actually item 6B in the board packet. We won't be presenting it this evening. We presented it over the last board meetings, and there will be a budget hearing, which is scheduled on May 7th, which will be presented once again. The budget to budget increase is 2.24%, and the tax cap is 3.14%. Our board candidates are Laura Schellinger, board member Mike Buscalia, Dr. Carrie Spicer, and Mr. Phil Danielson. We thank Lynn Carey. She actually did the ballot draw at 5:30 today, and that information will be coming out, and that is available on our YouTube page. Meet the Candidates Night is Thursday, May 7th, following the annual budget hearing that I just spoke about. Meet the Candidates Night will begin approximately at 7 o'clock p.m. and be held in this very room. Stakeholders can attend in person or watch virtually on the district's YouTube channel. Stakeholders can also submit questions through the Google form that is linked to the community update. Very exciting. Our AC project update. So work continues with the elementary school air conditioning project. On Sunday, May 3rd, construction crews will be using a helicopter at Country Parkway and Maple West to place the AC units on the roof. This work has been approved by the FAA, coordinating with the local law enforcement also, because we want to make sure that the area around the schools is a point that Dr. Spicer wants to make sure, and we understand that all board members, of course.
I was excited about the helicopter.
I know. All our
Hall.
students will be also.
They will.
We'll be coordinating with local law enforcement to make sure that there's a safe distance between viewing and the actual helicopter dropping the AC units on the roof. A formal letter explaining the scope of the work and safety precautions will be going to those school communities this week. We're hiring. So we are in the hiring process, and we are looking for an assistant principal at Maple West Elementary School. So if you know of anyone of high quality that would be a benefit to our school community and the students that we serve, please encourage them to apply to the assistant principal posting for Maple West Elementary. As was just discussed, our draft 26-27 Code of Conduct is being presented tonight. Items in the code that are underlined indicate changes that are being made. Items that are crossed out with that strike through indicate those that will be removed. The Code of Conduct comment period is open through Friday, May 22nd. Comments and feedback can be sent to contact@williamsvillek12.org. But I do want to say this, though. You can still send comments on areas in the Code of Conduct. Once the Wellness Committee meets, if there are additional changes, we will need to then present to the board and open up another 30-day comment period. So there may be another opportunity for our community to comment again. Okay. Our monthly themes: April is Arab American Heritage Month. May is both Asian American and Pacific Islanders Heritage Month and Jewish American Heritage Month. Our strategic plan, the planning for our strategic plan is currently underway. So we've been canvassing for parents, and we are currently canvassing for community members. And then we will be working and contacting all of our collective bargaining associations, our unions, to provide representation on the strategic planning committee also. We will begin those meetings in September. I know we were looking at dates because some of the dates will be full days. We'll begin those meetings in September. We plan to have a plan submitted to the board at the April 2027 board meeting. So there will be another 30-day comment period. Those comments will then be taken back to the strategic planning committee in May to then submit a final plan to the board in June for adoption for a July 1, 2027 implementation. And as always, there will be board members selected to be on the committee. So once the board has a reorganization meeting, that process will then follow. The interest form for community members will be on the district website, and you'll be able to click the link in the community update if you are interested as a community member to be on the strategic planning team. The interest form closes on May 13th. Water testing report. So there was a letter that went out to our school community, and we had a question from one of our student board members also about the water testing report. The results are on our district website. So on December 6th, the district conducted lead testing of drinking water outlets in accordance with the New York State Department of Health lead testing regulations. Since the state's last compliance report, the lead action level for school drinking water outlets has been lowered from 15 parts per billion ppb to 5 parts per billion. Any faucet or fixture that resulted in sample readings at or above 5 parts per billion was marked as non-potable. Letter to families and staff was sent on Monday, April 20th, and the results are available on the water testing informational page on the district website. Our district art show, always a phenomenal time. The artwork that our students are able to develop is absolutely phenomenal. It will take place at the Honorable Shirley Chisholm Audubon Library from April 27th through May 10th. The opening receptions are as listed. The elementary reception is Monday, April 27th from 5:30 to 7. And then the middle high school reception is next Tuesday, April 28th from 5:30 to 7. Western New York Education Service Council has their annual awards dinner, which will be held tomorrow evening. So we're very, very excited. The Western New York Education Service Council Awards of Excellence recognizes individuals for making the difference for kids, their leadership, their dedication in going above and beyond, and their personal characteristics. This year, we have 3 members of our Williamsville community who will be receiving awards of excellence. Our very own president of our Board of Education, Ms. Crystal Kazmarek-Bogner. Our administrators, Dr. Marie Balin, who is our assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction and serves as our chief academic officer, and our Williamsville South High School principal, Mr. Keith Bortman. So we're very proud of all of them. A round of applause for all they do for our school community and our students. Our summer school dates are set and the locations are set also. Elementary and middle will be at Casey Middle School from July 8th to the 18th. Our high school will be at East High School again from July 7th to August 19th. And our summer school high school principal is in the audience, Ms. Courtney Charleston Smith. Our special education summer school program will be at Transit Middle School from July 6th to August 14th. Our community ed WOW program will be at Mill Middle School. Just for Kids will be at High Middle School, and our music programs will be at North Middle School. Thank you, Principal Bowen, for that. Our alumni associations have been up and running and have been meeting. We want to encourage anyone, if you signed up for your high school alumni association, to please look out for the meeting notifications. And if you have any questions, please contact the individuals who are our faculty advisors for our alumni associations. At East, we have Miss Deb Mahaney and Michelle Weber. At North, we have Mr. Mark Percy. And at South, we have Miss Eleanor Gainey. So our alumni interest forms can still be filled out if you're interested, and the meetings are underway. They are in the process of developing bylaws for the alumni associations right now. Then they will be electing individuals to serve in executive capacity for the alumni boards. And that's the community update for April 21st, 2026. Are there any questions from board members? I'm sorry, I know you usually ask that, President.
I had a question, just a comment of appreciation, Dr. Brown Hall. I appreciate that you always link the Regents exam schedule in your community update in our effort just to be great at communicating. We get a lot of emails with a lot of different schedules, and so it's just another place for myself as a parent to find that information. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that feedback. So if there aren't any other questions, I'll move on. I just want to discuss item 6B, which is the budget presentation. That has been presented several times, and there are no changes. The state is on their 4th budget extender, so we do not know if there will be additional funding from the state, additional foundation aid funding. So our budget has remained the same and will remain the same until the budget vote. There will not be any additional changes. And so the budget hearing is scheduled for Thursday, May 7th, where there will be another budget presentation. And if anyone has questions, you're able to ask at that time also. I am now going to turn it over to Dr. Marie Balin. So Dr. Balin, as I said, is our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Assessment and Instruction and serves as our Chief Academic Officer. Dr. Balin and her team, Mr. Lee Ferentz and Dr. Bill Bowen, will be presenting on our use of artificial intelligence in the district. So we know that this is a hot topic for schools, colleges, universities across the United States. So we passed AI policy earlier this school year or late last school year. And so right now we're going to see how is AI being used in our district and where that will go in the future. So I welcome Dr. Balin and her team. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Well, thank you, board. Thank you, Dr. Brown Hall, for the opportunity to share tonight. We'd like to start off with who has used AI today. We got one teacher. Okay. So if you think about it, AI is what we use as a general term of artificial intelligence, not new. Okay. What is new for the public school sector is generative AI. All right, what that means is that it will generate something that typically a human would have generated, but now it's taking the place of that prompt. Through a prompt, it's creating something. And that's what is new. And what's newer is the availability to the general public and to public schools. All right, so that's really where that shift has started with generative AI. All right, so our focus today as we go through will be on the awareness framework that we have, our implementation efforts, both past, present, and future, and then we'll leave you with some next level steps. So at this time, I would like to introduce Dr. William Bowen, the principal of Maple East, to continue this presentation.
Good evening to Dr. Brown Hall and our distinguished Williamsville School Board members. It's an honor to be here with you tonight to share with you information about a topic that is very relevant, very important for our students, for our staff, and something that we're really excited about moving forward with a number of initiatives here in the Williamsville schools. So I would like to share with you some information about generative AI. AI's ability to create new content based on data that is inputted into the system, and the relevance for our students and for our staff and for our school system. So 4 different things that we've really been focusing on here in the Williamsville schools that our staff has been working with, our students have been working with. First is the instructional efficiency piece. So AI, generative AI, is a very powerful tool for our staff to work on routine administrative tasks that allow them to spend more time with their students. Some of these tasks could include lesson planning development, like generating lessons and units, including learning objectives and state standards, in a very short period of time that might have taken an extenuating amount of time for teachers in the past. Also creating instructional resources like video, audio, different modalities for student learning based on input that's entered into AI systems, drafting and refining communications, class newsletters, parent emails based on goals or objectives or bullet points that teachers enter into the system. Just really a major time saver for our staff, and also professional development for our staff, where they can learn about topics, instructional strategies at their own pace, in their own interest level, and incorporate those topics into the classroom. So really the goal of these tools is not to replace the teacher. It is to give the teachers tools to save them time, save them energy, and really devote more time to their students on the relational elements of teaching, building trust, working with kids one-on-one, working with kids in small groups, building social emotional skills. The second area is personalized learning. So all of our teachers have differentiated their instruction for many years. AI allows teachers to do this in a very short period of time. So entering a lesson plan into the system and differentiating it for student need, for student ability levels, creating a differentiated lesson plan that accounts for diverse learners in the classroom, for ELL learners in the classroom, also providing for enrichment for students who need enrichment in the classroom. It's a powerful tool for reading instruction as well. So you can enter an article into an AI system. It could level the article for different abilities. It could create decodable text for students based on an individual's phonics needs. It could create a text based on student interest level or hobbies for students to really help with comprehension. So there's a world of possibilities when it comes to reading instruction and presenting content in multiple modalities. So you can enter an academic content or topic into an AI tool, and it will create video, audio. It will create simplified text for students if necessary. So there are lots of possibilities when it comes to personalized learning and differentiation. Future readiness is really important. This is really, it has to do with the student use of AI. So AI use by students could be a very powerful tool in certain situations and certain instructional settings. Kids can use it for brainstorming, for research, for drafting, for revising their work in certain situations, in certain settings. And that's where the digital literacy piece is so important. So we've always had a strong digital literacy component here in the district, and it's going to be more important than ever for us to incorporate AI into our existing digital literacy programs to really educate our kids when it's appropriate, when it's not, what's ethical and what is not ethical, and what settings can they use different features of AI. Lots of opportunities when it comes to AI in our schools, but also there are challenges that we have to consider that we've had a lot of conversations as a district about. First is access and equity. So making sure that all of our students, regardless of their school or their classroom teacher, are exposed to AI tools, receive instruction in AI tools, receive digital literacy instruction, and also we educate them on the ethics of AI. Ethics is a big piece when it's appropriate, when it's not appropriate for our staff and also for our students. Bias is something that we should consider as well. So it's essential that humans are involved in review of anything that's created by AI, because AI could create content that has bias, that that excludes certain perspectives and the output that is produced by AI. So bias is definitely a consideration that we've been having conversations about as a district, and also assessment. So we have to be very mindful that any assessments or instructional resources that are created by AI, that humans review them. Our professional staff are essential in reviewing any output that is produced by AI. So tonight's presentation, just a brief overview about generative AI, our district's implementation, professional learning that we've provided to our staff, and next steps in future vision here in the Williamsville schools. So first, to distinguish what AI is and what it is not. So what it is, it's a computer system or systems that perform tasks usually requiring human thinking. It is also a tool that can help with research, writing, translation, and planning. What it is not a thinking, reasoning, or conscious being. It does not exercise judgment, and it's not a replacement for our teachers or professional staff, for the counselor, or for the school leader. And it's not always accurate. That's why our staff are essential in reviewing anything that is produced by AI. AI can produce errors, made up information, and as I mentioned before, biased outputs. So it's essential to think about what it is and what it is not. Generative AI creates new content based on data that has entered into the system. And it is essential, as I mentioned, for professional staff to review that new content. And I'd like to hand it back to Mr. Ferris.
So building off of what it is, where did we start? So before we get into the timeline, just to give you some exposure of where teachers were and how they got started. So our instructional technology software that we have is EdLaw 2 protected, which means it's data protected, security cleared, which means we're allowed to use that in an educational environment. So where did we start? That's where we started. So we didn't have to have another login or another interface for teachers. So we started with district tools that had AI embedded into it, or commonly referred to as baked into the software. All right, so that allowed us to see things on the side like Canva, Padlet, where students or teachers can create images inside there. They start to predict text. All right, they start to have the ability to generate an image saying, hey, I'm making the presentation for the board. Create me an image that represents this. Hence, some of the images you see in this presentation were created by AI through Canva. All right, so those same tools that I'm using, teachers use, it's built within a familiarity section, all right, that they're already used to. So that's where that first awareness or exposure to generative AI started, all right, for our teachers. A couple other things on there. We are a Google district, so within our Google Workspace, all of those subscriptions like Google Docs, Slides, they're all starting to have more and more AI built in. If you log in to create a form, it's going to ask, what kind of Google form do you want to create? And how many questions do you want? And you start typing that in, and then next thing you know, that's all created for you already. So that's that generative AI that we're talking about. So as I move forward to the next slide, what was the aha moment, all right, when it came to generative AI? So when we were a while ago, 2 years ago, looking at, all right, what was built into our subscription, what happened is within our district, we have the ability to enable Gemini and Notebook. All right, so for most of us, we're probably have read the headlines and familiar with ChatGPT. Okay, so that's a public version like Claude. Gemini is Google's version of that. And before I go any farther, I'd be remiss to say that our products for Google and for Notebook are enterprise grade applications. Completely different than if you subscribe to Google One or you use a personal Google account. Okay, ours are protected, closed-in loops, which means the data never leaves. It's not used to train AI. Okay, and no humans see that. So we say that stays within our walled garden. That's how we refer to it in IT, is that walled garden that it stays in. So it stays all within. All history is saved and preserved. Okay, way different than the consumer application part. All right, so what you see on one side would be Gemini, which is just a screenshot of what it looks like. You start off with entering in a prompt, okay, and the more descriptive you are with your prompt, the better output it's going to take. We joke around that you could put prompt engineering on your LinkedIn profile if you could use Gemini, but that's kind of where it's at. It will output text for you and usually export to a text-based system. Just recently, Gemini is giving us the ability to create audio and to create images within. All right. The other superstar of the Google Workspace product is Notebook LM. And this has skyrocketed use among teachers because it takes very complex synthesis of information, things that would take us hours and hours and hours to read and to create. Now you can take a 250-page document and it will synthesize and create an infographic for you. All right, and that's in a matter of, I don't know, 15 minutes. By the time I hit go on the computer, get some water, go to the bathroom and come back, it's done. So it's very, very powerful tools. Create slide decks, audio, podcasts, a lot of things that can create out of there. And that's what that second screenshot looks like off to the side. Okay, but that's more of your multimedia creation as well. Me and this mic have a relationship here. keeps popping on me. All right, so as I advance on to a little bit more understanding, because if I showed you the timeline, you wouldn't know what I was talking about. All right, so now if we kind of look at that timeline of where we've been, if we're looking at that past, present, and future. All right, so if we go all the way back to the admin retreat of summer of 2024, that is where our AI awareness started. All right, with our leadership under Dr. Brownhall's guidance at the admin retreat, that's where we started. Okay, and then in the fall of 2024, that's where we started working with those district subscriptions that I just showcased. And then the spring of 2025, we have an instructional coach. I am the team leader of them. We have an instructional technology coach in every single building. We started working on the research of Gemini and Notebook. All right, and then as we look into fall of 2025 through staff development days, when we started off the school year, that's when we started showcasing those materials. And then as we move forward into the spring of 2026, now that those tools are enabled and being used by teachers, okay, we're starting to see that implementation and the output and the usage and the high usage of them in the classroom. And then as we move forward to summer 2026, we're going to repeat at the admin retreat, and we're also going to be looking forward to staff development days coming up, which I can now say still August, not September. So end of September as we move forward. So how did we get here? All right, so before we did anything and before we decided anything, professional learning. All right, so I don't know if many of us attend a lot of conferences, badges, we select all those things that we go to, we curate the sessions that we attend. Not only did our leadership attend those, our building administrators have attended those, the instructional technology coaches have attended those, and so have I. Both international conferences to get that world perspective, statewide conferences to get that, our local BOCES symposiums, the work with UB, their National Institute for Exceptional Education, and then in addition to that, their ethics symposium that they have, and the Center for Early Literacy and Responsible AI Usage through UB. All right, so with all that curation and all that knowledge that we gained as a district, what we consumed and what we took in helped us develop and move forth that timeline, all right, which led us to what did we provide? And now I stand in front of you showing these beautiful examples over the last 2.5 years.
Picture one more time.
Didn't go. There we go. Thank you. So what kind of professional learning have we provided for our teachers? So I'd be remiss to say that I did not provide all of these. Okay, these are hand in hand with our instructional technology coaches. They provided a lot of these examples and work with the building administrators, setting up not only building-based professional learning, using time on their building staff development days to earmark time to have this be inescapable training for our teachers as we've gone through over the last 2.5 years, all working through. Some of the names off the side through the leadership of the instructional technology coaches, you can see some of those titles that are on the slide. There's so many more that we can get into by working with the Office of Professional Learning. Like I said before, dedicating time on staff development days is something we have regularly done to commit to this generative AI and to move us forward over the last 2.5 years. And we look forward to, once again, summer institutes that we offer, and then also staff development days. So what does this look like in the buildings? Okay, so all that professional learning we took, turnkey it to the teachers. So what do they do with it? Okay, so some examples, and this is just a very, very...
There we go.
Battery must be low. So what did it look like in the elementary? Once again, just some small examples of what that would look like. Okay, this doesn't encompass everything. All right, so looking to kind of spark those visual creativity images that we utilize. All right, in elementary, we use it to create, Gemini can create storybooks, coloring pages. It can create audio and video to support both student reading, okay, or student research. All right. I see some visual storytelling in there, image reading for characters. So just think about students describing a character and then the teacher pushing those information into something that can generate the image. So talking about your character, writing it, and now you can see it come to life on the computer just by typing a few words or a sentence into that prompt, and it will create that image. So both we have teacher-led exercises that they will use to create content for the students. And there are some times where students with those district embedded resources are able to engage into some generative AI. But we do not have Gemini or Notebook turned on for that. It's only for teachers. So if I fast forward to the middle school, just some higher level examples. Okay, so if you take a Gemini and you share it, it's also something called a gem. And then that can be like a public document that you could share. So other people, without the service being turned on, can engage with that gem. So the coaches have created ones that are based in instruction, based in teaching, based in assessment, and then other teachers have been able to click on those and use them without having to go through and draft the whole prompt themselves. So sharing of best practices, sharing of knowledge. Okay, that's pretty much what we've done. That's what that example shows on the left-hand side. That is actually a differentiated lesson planner designed by one of the middle school instructional coaches. Teacher clicks on it. It takes them through all the questions and all the steps to help them create that differentiated lesson. Coding projects are done with Canva, commonly called vibe coding. If you haven't heard that yet, that's the new term for online coding using generative AI. Podcasts with Notebook LM. So instead of taking really complex content again and putting it into a banter back and forth in a podcast. Okay, so giving that a different modality, a different voice, a different accent to something, different than the teacher always delivering that content. All right. And then if we go on to high school integration, this is really where Notebook LM has taken off because they have the most complex content, all right, that they're trying to deliver to their, thank you. I don't know why.
I did it.
Oh, I'm looking at that one. Okay. I gotcha. That one's lagging. I keep looking at that one, not this one. Thank you. So for that AI assisted slide development and taking complex content from the high school and just making it into a more appealing, visual, simpler format for students to discern that information to help them improve their demonstration of understanding. All right. And now I know I will turn this over to Dr. Balin to continue the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening. As we consider the integration of generative AI in a K-12 district, we understand how essential it is to thoughtfully examine both the opportunities as well as the complexities that this introduces. We've spoken a little bit about the privacy and security, but we must ensure that at all times students and staff data are protected. This is paramount. AI tools often require input data, and districts must carefully evaluate how information is collected, stored, and used in compliance with laws and district policies. As you've heard, compliance with Ed Law 2D is at the forefront. As Lee shared with you, though, schools are in confined environments, and with that, there are specific rules and regulations that must govern how we interact with data and security. As far as the environmental impact, we are aware that the computational power required to run AI systems comes with some costs. As we adopt the tools, it's important to remain mindful of sustainability and responsible use. Certainly balance and selective use of the tool in particular as well with any technological tool is extremely important. Dr. Bowen spoke about equity and access. It's important that ensuring all students have equitable access to AI tools and digital literacy skills to use them effectively. This is critical to avoid widening opportunity gaps. And as far as transparency and understanding, students and educators must understand the multiple uses of AI, including their limitations, in effort to use the tools responsibly and critically. Understanding must be developed of AI as an educational tool, as well as we've clearly seen in society as a whole. Lee's opening question was purposeful. We were actually brainstorming just when we sat down to plan the presentation, how many times we interacted with AI. Some of it was deliberate and some of it is just by what you're engaging with. As we talk about things that are baked into our systems, for us, if you're shopping online or doing things on your phone, chances are you've interacted with it, even if it wasn't intentional. Key challenges include several things. Ethics is certainly a part of it. AI raises important ethical questions around authorship, ownership of ideas, and appropriate uses in academic settings, as well as certainly the world at large. Dr. Bowen talked about biases. AI systems can reflect and amplify biases present in training data, which impact accuracy and fairness of outputs. Our policy, and we're very fortunate to have a very robust AI policy, thank you to the Board of Education, also reminds us that AI can generate inaccurate information. These are all lessons for adults as well as our students. As far as assessment and integrity, the use of AI when completing assignments is really focused many times. The dialogue becomes one of academic integrity. Certainly challenges may arise in evaluating authentic student learning and maintaining academic integrity. Our code of conduct, our academic integrity policy, as well as our BOE policy do reiterate academic misconduct, characterized often as plagiarism or copying. We have had similar dialogue and conversation around when you may copy something off the internet or you borrow something from a source and it's not cited properly. So AI has just made this a more profound and larger conversation to be had. Certainly lessons on information research and the proper citation of sources also continues to be very important with the onset of AI. And from an educational and instructional perspective, educators must reframe our thought process around instructional design, as well as our assessment practices. We've heard a lot, of course, with the project-based learning conversation that we have for many years, but also with the portrait of a graduate. When we are looking at things like higher order thinking, creativity, and process over product, AI will certainly be part of this conversation as well. So in alignment with the district's AI board policy, we affirm and recognize that teachers remain the architects of teaching and learning. They are responsible for planning rigorous lessons, engaging students meaningfully, focused on what students should know, understand, and be able to do, and determining the appropriate pathways and tools to get them there. This includes an individual analysis of all tasks that we put in front of students when we consider the standards, the lesson and assessment purposes, and how the students will demonstrate their learning and understanding. It's also very inclusive of the careful and intentional selection of the resources, those tools that we're using. Something that I can tell you, and educators have successfully navigated with many past technological innovations. This remains the same with AI. Teachers by policy must also communicate expectations and responsible AI to their students. As a district, we are taking a number of next steps to assist educators, and I would like to share some of those with you this evening. So first and foremost, you may remember that we have a mandatory training landing page. So again, putting the human at the forefront is really where we're going here. Our mandated training and our district AI landing page will be updated to include required professional learning on AI, and it will offer a centralized repository of resources for our staff on AI. These will be linked to each school's landing page. Additional district support will include superintendent and conference day sessions, as Lee mentioned. PD will include AI as a topic, including days that are already being planned as part of next year's calendar for September 2026. There will be topics included in our induction sessions for new teachers, as well as our regular building leader professional development sessions and our administrative conference that you heard about is just one example. At the school level, learning will also be extended through team meetings and building-based opportunities similar to previous district initiatives. These will complement the information that the staff has already received on technology, data privacy, and regulations such as EdLaw 2D. In addition, our building-based PD will include faculty meetings or building and services, as well as opportunities to attend conferences. And we've been very lucky that that has been supported here in our district. And also with our new STEPS plan, many teachers are dovetailing this initiative with some of the areas of study So some professional learning plans may also include AI. And of course, last but not least, Lee mentioned the technology team that we are very fortunate to have here. Expanded collaboration with our tech coaches is also part of the plan. Lee and our coaching team they've been working diligently and very closely with our Office of Professional Learning, as well as our building principals and the school-based teams to design and deliver AI-focused PD sessions that are tailored to staff needs. Additionally, Dr. Brown Hall and I, in the recent months, have attended a joint session with superintendents and district level administrators focused on AI education. We are really hopeful that, given that information, we are really exploring how insights from that experience may translate into expanded opportunities that benefit both the staff and students across the district. We understand and all recognize student engagement with AI will continue to grow. Lee focused on that as part of his delivery this evening. Students will have increased opportunities to interact with the approved tools introduced earlier in the presentation, such as Gemini and Notebook LM, in ways that support critical thinking and responsible use. So in closing, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to my colleagues here for their work in preparing and delivering the presentation tonight. I also want to recognize the outstanding efforts of our instructional technology team, Lee, our building principals, directors, and teachers, and acknowledge the strong partnerships that exist across the district. And we still have much more to accomplish here. This is an expansive conversation. It's evolving at lightning speed. As with any emerging and impactful topic, we certainly remain committed to continuous learning, thoughtful implementation, and ensuring that we provide the very best opportunities for our students and our staff. So we're pleased to conclude the presentation and answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I see hands and all students. I'll start, Giselle, and we'll move down.
Mine's more of a comment than a question. First, I wanted to say thank you for the education of this topic, because it's better to, I guess, educate than avoid it, because as technology grows, it's impossible to avoid. And I guess like one of my pet peeves is people saying, well, it's always been that way, so we need to keep it that way. So I appreciate your education. My original question was about the environment, because big data centers like Gemini use in 2024 reported 2.7 million gallons of water per day. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate that you mentioned in slide 13 your consideration about the environment, how we want to be very selective with our use of AI and not kind of use it in our day-to-day and kind of let it replace human thought. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the comments. We appreciate it. Thank you.
DSP?
One of the things I was gonna say is you guys mentioned instructional design, and from a student's perspective, teachers try to now like make AI or try to make assignments like AI proof to where they know students do use AI, and they try to make it so that students are forced to think. So
Yeah, thank you very much for saying that.
I just thought like this was really informative and like really brought to light, because students have so many questions about like AI, what's acceptable, what's not. I just want to know, I know there was a lot of like days for like teachers to really learn to get trained on AI, like conference days, but what about like students specifically? Because as you said, like teachers, they'll have a lot of like learning opportunities. Like take ethics, for instance. A teacher might like have in mind that, oh, this isn't ethical to use AI for this assignment, but I could see like a freshman not entirely, they might know how to use AI, but not know the ethics of whether they should do it or not. Are there any plans to like update the students on that?
Absolutely. And I think that's a great point. And thank you for bringing that up as well, because we can see clearly there's a twofold discussion unfolding when it concerns AI. One is the use of the tool, and the other part are the considerations and challenges and perhaps insight with tool use. So it really does have to be both. So the instructional program will have to include both of those aspects. So part of what we're hoping to accomplish with some of our next steps is ensuring that both of those get attended to, both for staff and for students. So thank you for mentioning that.
Dr. Singh?
Just going off the question he had, is there any plan to add AI programming in high school as a part of computer science? Like you said, you can do vibe coding, or you can develop tools for AI or tools with AI, agentic AI, any other things like that?
Yes, actually, I'll have Lee address on. We spoke a little bit about the high school. Let me have Lee come to the podium and he can talk about
So with regards to computer science and then part of that curriculum and using AI for students to help them generate code, I would have to relate that back onto the computer science teachers, why it's available to teachers. It's currently not available to students in that platform. There are some platforms that the students are using that have that built into it, but part of the structure of learning the code first is learning the structure first and seeing how that language works before you're using a tool to create it for you. If not, you won't be able to catch the errors that are in there. So in the higher level, advanced level computer programming, I can see that's where it's going to go. But there's still the foundational part of teaching what it is and how to get there. So no direct plan.
What I would say too, and I did not include this, but I'll include it in the answer here, are teachers, if there are ever any questions and if it's tool specific, what we do is we work very closely with the subject area directors and our tech team. So all of that is, we have processes for that review. So the question you're actually talking about, that will be a regular point of conversation when we're evaluating tool use. So we have a whole arm of our district and our processes that speak to how we onboard technology. So that's going to be part of it. So thank you, Dr. Singh.
Mr. Biscaglia?
I appreciated this, hearing all the information. It sounds like Williamsville's trying to be at the forefront of this. Just looking at this like notebook LM, I've used that even at home with my son to study for things. I mean, luckily I've been training on it and seeing it, but like I love, that platform and using Gemini. We just, have to make sure we're using it the right way. And like you were saying, you have to kind of sometimes read over it and make sure you take out the mistakes if you're putting it into a lesson. But even parents, like if you're listening to this at home, I mean, those are tools you could take if you don't know a math assignment or something to help your kids. And you're also showing your family at home that it's not used to cheat, but you're using it as a guide or a lesson. Or, I've done, with Notebook LM, you can make it into a video where they're explaining things. So it's interesting how you can use it. And, it sounds like that would be something to be proud of.
Mr. Mano?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. And I'm glad that, and I've heard it several times, it's just as important to teach what it is not as what it is. Because I deal with people at work, and I'm sure we all do. There's a universe of adults out there who, discovered AI after they were out of school and didn't have the benefit of learning what it isn't. They just learned it's the newest thing, it's the hottest thing, it cuts my work time, and I'm going to cheat and use AI. So I'm glad, and I've heard it from each of you, really what it is not, because it can really lead somebody down a wrong path. And I tell these, 20 and 30-year-olds that I work with that really are too reliant on AI. I have to remind them that sometimes, that the artificial intelligence turns out to be intelligence that's artificial. At the end of the day, you're responsible for your work product and how you're representing or presenting yourself, and just don't rely on AI. And thank you. I think it was a great presentation.
Ms. Blackinger?
I just wanted to say thank you. That was a great presentation. I'm excited to learn all the district. I didn't know that all the district was doing for education for the teachers and staff, administrators, professional development. I think there's a lot more in our future concerning AI. So I know this will be a living document that will probably change pretty frequently. So I appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Dr. Spicer?
This is something I get to be on an AI Tiger team at my institution. So this is something that I will always ask without necessarily needing an answer in this moment, but that we look at what these platforms are saying are their safety mechanisms when it comes to protecting our students. And I said this to my team on my campus, as we're vetting these products, asking the question and challenging the tech companies to answer, how are we keeping people safe in using these products? And obviously we see certain headlines. So that's always at the forefront of my mind.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. And actually that adds to why this work is so thoughtful and time intensive. So thank you very much, Dr. Spicer.
Okay, Ms. Poulin, I was trying to catch everyone that hasn't gone yet. Ms. Poulin?
I was just going to say, I was happy to hear about the garden walls. Those I had had the opportunity to go to a number of AI workshops for school board members, and that's a really powerful tool that when we can keep it safe, we maintain control over the safety of it. So I'm glad that we're utilizing that.
Okay, I saw Salil.
I think it's great that like AI is really being encouraged more in the district. I think it's gonna be a part of our future, so it's great. How strongly really will like AI be? So for example, I know teachers like within my own school, even two teachers who teach the same class, like one teacher might absolutely not allow students to use AI, but another might be more lax with it. Will there be some sort of like standard like outline per course or?
I think I can address that. So just like any lesson design, we have to really rely upon the teachers to design the appropriate engagement with the tools. Certainly, we do not want a whole, let's say, a course to go by necessarily where it's never interacted with, but in large part, we really have to rely on the teachers to design the lesson. We do encourage teachers who are teaching the same subject or course to work with each other, because you're lucky to have a thought partner, so they may be able to share ideas. But because it's very task specific, we really have to allow the teacher that latitude to be able to determine what the appropriate engagement is. But what I would also offer is that's where professional learning comes in. That's why we are working as departments. I mentioned the directors earlier, our instructional technology team, our principals. So when we have our staff development days, these are some of the things we're sharing. How are you using it? What have you done?
Right.
Oh, I didn't know. This was not something I engaged with. So you start to share best practices with each other. And that's really what some of the professional learning is. So it isn't just like, hey, there's this new tool, or you may not have heard of it. It's how have you used it and how might it help you or your students accomplish your goals and your objectives. So I would say that with more learning is going to come more consideration for how it can fit into the curriculum, how it can fit into the instructional program. And those are the things we really want to generate more conversation about.
Anything else? DSP.
Yes. I noticed that you mentioned a robust AI policy. What is that? What exactly does that mean?
So our board adopted really what I would consider, usually when you have a policy, it's not super prescriptive. This doesn't tell you the how-to, but board policy 5840 was adopted in 2025. That provides a great landing place for us. Again, it's not procedural in nature necessarily, but all of the things that we highlighted during tonight's presentation are found here in the policy. So when we do our training, we go back to starting here and then going from there. So anything that needs further dialogue or how do we operationalize this, we try to use this as a foundation. So we're very fortunate, again, to have a policy structure in our district, and this provides a great place for a lot of these conversations to start. So the first order of business is making sure that everybody in our school community knows about the policy, what the intent of the policy is, and then how do we put the policy into practice.
Thanks for answering that. I have
Thank
a
you.
follow-up question.
Sure.
I would say on slide 14, it's mentioned that student AI framework parentheses
Mhm.
traffic light
Yes.
concept, and I was really encouraged to hear that because I think that's let me go off, but I gathered feedback from
Mhm.
students and teachers, and one of the biggest, I guess, problem was that they think clarity is a big issue, and I think this would definitely help.
That's certainly a next step. What
Yes.
we hope to not do, going back to the do's and don'ts and what it is and isn't, is be overly prescriptive. Like you must do this, and in all cases it looks like X, because it won't. But a stoplight, something like that, is just providing a structural element to be able to go through a thought process or some reflection when you're deciding if it's appropriate or not, and then how do you convey that to the students? Because again, we're going back to what tools are appropriate and then how do you engage with them. So that's just one of the thought processes as we've been working with our teams, is how to have teachers engage in that kind of framework. And we're actually working on something that we can present some opportunities for teachers to engage in that dialogue, so that then that gets passed on to the students. So it's very clear, given a specific task, is it allowed? Is it not? What is allowed? What isn't? And going back to the guardrails, how does it work? So that's putting this, that's matching the policy intent then to operationalizing the system to make it happen.
Got it. I have another question, if I may. go.
Sure, absolutely.
Framework is important and clarity is important, and how exactly will that be communicated to
Well,
students?
We have a lot of layers of conversation in the district. So what we often start with, again, we have to engage our adults first. And certainly with student feedback, it helps to know what questions students are asking. So we want to get to the heart of both the teacher voice as well as the student voice in the process. We have hosted many opportunities where people can not only learn about the tools, but also what questions you have, how do we navigate it? But we always start first with recognizing what questions are we trying to answer and then putting a system in place. So right now is actually as recently as this morning, our Office of Professional Learning was meeting with Lee to talk about what some of that dialogue will look like and where will we host some of the conversations and get further details. Our principals, at our principals meetings, we have monthly meetings with principals by level where we engage in a lot of this dialogue. So we're starting to build the framework, and we already know like the stoplight is just one visual model for this, but there may be other ways to convey it. So we also don't want to be, again, overly prescribing what it'll look like, but the key is how do you communicate it? And then ultimately through the training, then we also decide how is this going to be disseminated to students? What systems are we using? When will it be done? We also oftentimes develop talking points together so that we're all giving the same messages. So that's really the system we use, and that has worked really, really well. I can point to, as you all know, many initiatives, but that is really how we approach the building of this model, if you will.
Thanks. I asked that because communication is just as important as
It really is.
creating framework.
It really is. In fact, a lot of what we talked about tonight, it was somewhat about the tools and a lot about the structures, right? So thank you for saying that.
Dr. Bill and, I'm sorry.
Yes, no, I was going to
Dr.
say.
Bell and Lee Pharynx, Dr. Bill Bowen, thank you very much for this presentation and all the information you shared. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
And thank you to everyone for your thoughts and questions regarding that. We're moving on to, where are we right now?
Member
We
updates?
are. Item 7A. Would any student board members like to provide a report regarding their high school activities and events? Salil?
Bring the mic closer to you, Salil, if you could. Oh, okay, there we go.
Good evening, everyone. So I just, first of all, wanted to start off by showing a lot of pictures from our East Olympics competition. This was a first-year initiative by Stuco because, for our homecoming, we have homecoming pep rallies, and that's where we really like celebrate our fall athletes, where we yell out like, oh, this is boys football, boys soccer, girls like flag football, and then they all run out like it's all the seniors. So the students felt like the winter and like the spring athletes, they also should be like celebrated. And originally we'd planned like sort of like school like assembly for it, and in order to like spice it up, as the homecoming pep rally games, it's fun because the students get to watch their classmates playing it. So we came up with the East Olympics, and it was pretty successful. We had 19 countries participate. It was at the end of the day. It was on Friday, March 27th. And so students would come into teams of 4 to 5. There would be 3 rounds in the beginning. It would be musical chairs, trivia, as well as head, shoulders, knees, and cups. And then it would go down to the final 4 teams where they'd play like a couple of playoff games, as you could call it, kart racing, javelin throw, although it was more of pool noodle throw. And then this was the final round where it's supposed to be sort of like a gladiator style like race, chariot racing. And they decided to use inflatable costumes, and they encouraged the whole stands to get loud. And then this is the conclusion. But in the middle, in between, when they were tallying up the scores, they announced like the winter and like the spring athletes to come out, and that was really good moment to, because in the past they haven't been able to be honored for their accomplishments. So this is great. And then a feedback survey was conducted on this, and Stuco definitely plans on running it again next year, but there'll probably be a lot more changes considering it was pretty chaotic this year. Speaking of sports, girls basketball had one of its best seasons in a while, and they were honored for their accomplishments. Girls basketball coach Mrs. Megan Johnson was named All-B Girls Coach of the Year. Julie Cruz was named to First Team All Western New York, All ECIC Player of the Year, and ECIC2 Player of the Year. So congrats to her. Portia Gouldy was named to Second Team ECIC2. So congrats. And now our spring sports have started. So, good luck to anyone playing in that. As for other East events, on Friday, March 20th, ECMEA All County was held at UB Slee Hall. On Friday, March 20th and Saturday, March 20th, Science Olympiad States was at Lemoyne College. East traveled with North. So that was a great opportunity for students to compete. Tuesday, March 24th was the NHS induction ceremony. So the current residing officers, they made the incoming nominees, pledge an oath. And it was a really good moment to see, students, all their hard work be paid off as they got to be recognized and walk across the stage. Tuesday, March 31st was the Connect Life blood drive. Saturday, April 25th, this week students will be auditioning for NISMA, so another music opportunity. We had our in-school volleyball tournament. East loves their sports. There was a recreational and competitive division. This has been going on for quite some years, but this was just sort of like a way to, lighten up the mood, just sort of. So whenever kids are free, they can go down to the commons and go to the PE area and watch their friends, play and compete. So that was a great opportunity. FBLA, which I'll show next, which is our biggest club by far. I believe this year we had 170 members go to Rochester for our state leadership conference. And there were also multiple members running for state office. So we had Moksh Gupta be elected as District 12 Vice President of FBLA. Naman Kapoor, all the way on the left, was elected state parliamentarian, and Arv Sapra was elected state president for FBLA New York State.
Wow.
So congrats to all of them. And then anyone who placed top 4 in their event qualified for nationals, which will be held in San Antonio, Texas this year. It'll be after school, but it's quite chaotic. And this is the photo with everyone. As you can see, it's a lot of people. You can barely see the people in the back. And as for some more upcoming events, as we get closer to the end of the year, we have our Junior Dinner Dance, JDD, on Friday, May 15th from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Grapevine Banquets. Music Prom will be held Friday, June 5th, 6 to 9th. Newspaper Club this Friday is having its open mic night, where basically newspaper club members, they just kind of bring in food and sort of host open mic session, and students are free to come perform, any act or show that they want. It's a really chill Friday night type of event for students to come to. And then next week, French Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society, and Latin Honor Society will have their induction ceremony on Thursday, April 30th.
Amazing.
Yes, thank you as always, Salil. I love hearing about all the things going on at East. And we'll now move on to DSP and representing South.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be back after spring break, but looking back at the end of March, it was a very busy time for us at South. The week before the break was shorter, but the week leading up to that was packed. For example, our gym classes held a series of tournaments for pickleball, badminton, and table tennis. That saw a lot of student participation. And then the pickleball club and the badminton club were filled in the morning. Then on March 26th, we hosted one of our biggest collaborative events of the year, the Taste of South and South Celebration of Talent. It was basically a dinner and a show. This was a joint effort between Student Congress and the Culture and Diversity Club. We had various food from different cultures, as you can see. And it was followed up by performances in the auditorium. And all the proceedings from that night were donated to Sleep in Heavenly Peace, an organization that builds beds for students. Then, leading up to that, we had a day where students dressed in a attire representing their culture. And we also sold henna designs throughout the week. Here's some of the henna designs and students representing their culture. All right. Then our new club, Meals Matter and teamed up with SIAC for their food drive. And in total, they collected 11 pounds of food for the community. Then we wrapped up our pre-break festives with our annual extravaganza, which is basically where students fill these plastic eggs with candy and we hide them around outside of the school. But this time we decided to do it in the library due to the weather. Then since returning from break, our band students have been busy after their performance trip to Universal Studios. I also wanted to make sure everybody knows about, moving on. There's a lot of pictures. Yeah, moving on. We have a big event coming up tomorrow, the staff volleyball game. This is presented by the SAD Club to benefit kids escaping drugs. And I'm insisting that everybody here comes out and watches. It's going to be a lot of fun and it's for a great cause too. Also, when you buy a ticket, you get a raffle and you can put that raffle in for a teacher that chose to participate in the game, and teacher that gets the most tickets gets pied. Also, something I found out recently was orchestra is having a trip happening this Thursday, and they're going to Boston, and I heard they're going to have a trip to the Science Museum and a dinner boat cruise. That would wrap up my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DSP, for letting us know what's going on at South. And now, Giselle, if you'd tell us what's going on at North, please.
Upcoming Saturday, May 2nd, our drama club is having their spring medley. I apologize, my mic was off. This upcoming Saturday, May 2nd, Drama Club is having their spring medley. And at North, you have a very robust theater program. And our Drama Club was previously recognized for their park performance. So I'd recommend that everyone comes and support on Saturday. They have 2 shows. Also, Williamsville is very involved in unified sports. And North has a gold team and a green team. And every year we have our annual unified basketball game / pep rally in school. So that is in school this Friday against the green and the gold team. So I'd recommend, I'm pretty sure we're allowed to have people come outside the building come in and watch. So I'd recommend also coming to that this Friday. And also we encourage pursuing higher education after high school, but college isn't the plan for everyone. So this Thursday, we're hosting our 2nd annual Career and Skilled Trades Fair, where over 30 businesses, skilled trades, technical trainers, and careers after high school will be there to talk to students. I believe also a few branches of the military will also be there for some students that are pursuing things other than college after high school. Further, before spring break, Brett Shirtlife from the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra came to North. He visited and gave a masterclass to our symphonic orchestra and gave a presentation about music to our concert orchestra. So that was a very amazing presentation, very educational. I learned a lot about the Philharmonic Orchestra I had not learned prior. The government classes also had their 2nd day of service. Students are sorted to various locations where they serve for 6 hours and volunteer at different sites. And I heard that a very popular one was actually Dodge Elementary volunteering in the gym playing dodgeball. And I heard that the high schoolers did have to pretend to not be as good at dodgeball for the elementary school. And as we heard earlier with Ms. Corio being here, we had our New York TSA conference held at North, and we have an amazing technology program, as you guys have heard earlier. And it was amazing seeing all the students share their different technological inventions and finds. And it's really amazing to see how technology is evolving in North. Finally, we also had our Fusion Fest right before break. And I'm going to say very limited because Mr. Filipowski actually made a video surrounding the event. So whenever you're ready.
North Fusion Fest is an event held by the Cultural Awareness Club.
People from North participate, as well as community members come out and showcase parts of their cultures like dance and music.
Being my senior year, I really wanted to be ambitious and try to revive what was long lost. And I think it was a pretty good success.
Through these shows and these assemblies, you expose yourself to more cultures, which helps you become a better person too.
In honor honestly meant so much to me because I generally like to sing songs in my native language, like in Indian events and stuff, but showcasing my culture to the school was such a different experience, and I really loved it so much. It means a lot to me. It meant a lot. It was like a great honor. I was kind of skeptical at first, but after seeing all the people support me, all the people clap, I was like, whoa, this was a great opportunity. I loved sharing my culture, and like some people don't know about Indian culture, so it was like a unique type of way to show who am I. I'm very proud of seeing all my classmates and people in my community participate in the Fusion Fest and just seeing everything happen like that. I'm really, really proud of everyone that performed today.
We hope that this will continue to be a thing and that people will see how great of a success this was. And hopefully in the next years and the years to come, we'll still have an assembly like this.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Just quickly, as seen as in the video, we had a few individuals perform their individual talents as well as some clubs perform. I know we had Asian American Student Association share about origami. We also had guests from UB perform, and as well as Master Chong's Martial Arts Center on Transit came to perform. So it was a definitely community-filled event and very cultural and very educational. So thank you, Mr. Filipowski, for the video. That is all for my presentation.
Oh,
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Giselle, for sharing what's going on at North, and thanks to all of you. Appreciate the reports. We are now moving on to item 7B, events. Board members visited Heim Elementary School, Heim Middle School, and East High School to view the facilities and observe instruction on March 18th. Our remaining visits will be on June 12th. I want to thank all the community members who joined us for our Spring Community Forum on March 24th. Our policy committee met on March 31st. Our after school with staff event was held prior to this meeting tonight. And our board compensation advisory committee's March meeting was postponed, but will be meeting in May. Our onboarding committee is scheduled to meet at a determined date in April and May. And our board retreat will be held in June. And as part of that, I was wondering if there's any interest in forming an ad hoc committee to plan the retreat with no more than 4 board members. Any discussion or interest in that? Ms. Poulin?
I would be interested.
I would be too.
Spicer? Dr. Singh? DSP? Okay. Looks like we have 4.
I think Dawn had her hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you as well?
Oh, that's okay. You said 4. That's fine.
Okay.
It could be 4 board members.
Yeah,
and
plus
non-voting
our students. So you can be added if you'd like to. All right. Perfect. Although 1, 2, 3, I should probably be part of that committee.
Then I.
Sorry. I should have made that clear at the beginning. Okay, wonderful. So we have our committee. We will move on now to item 7C, which is a review of the draft Board of Education meeting calendar. Due to changes in the law and recent policy 1620 updates, the July organizational meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, July 7th, but that may occur on or before Monday, July 20th. Are there any board member comments related to our our organizational meeting and our calendar? Mr. Manna.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to talk, well, a couple of things. First is when I review the draft, the one of the lines right before we announce the date says regular board meetings may be preceded by an executive session beginning at 6 or 6:30. Maybe you want to take out the time 6 or 6:30 because we don't know when we schedule them. Today was 5:45. I've seen 6:15. So maybe just leave it as may be preceded by an executive session. And then let's talk about the July 7th meeting and see if the board and the superintendent would be amenable to changing that date. I know for me, though, those first 2 Tuesdays in July, I think I have work commitments. So I want to see if the board is looking to make it maybe a Wednesday or maybe that a different Tuesday or maybe even July 1st. Just kind of throwing it out for discussion. Now that we're not so tied by the state laws when it has to be, we have a lot more discretion.
Any other comments about that? Yes, Mr. Buellin.
Not that this matters at all, but I think I'm going to be out of town on July 7th.
Okay. So it sounds like it sounds like maybe we want to look at changing it to a different date. I know that our district clerk, Mrs. Clary, often floats dates for us. Should we maybe go about doing it that way and see if we can find a date that would work for everyone?
Yeah, I would just say that I would prefer that we stay on a Tuesday, just for consistency's sake. Most all of our board meetings are on a Tuesday, and it just seems to make sense that it would be on a Tuesday for our community to.
That will, and I just want to say that will be hard for the month of July if it's not on July 7th, because the following Tuesday will be a conflict. I will not be in town. Then the previous Tuesday is not in July at all. Then the Tuesday after that is after the date of the 20th. So if it has to stay on July 7th, I think that might be impossible this time.
Okay. So Mrs. Carey, would you be willing to float some dates? Perfect. Okay. Thank you all for your comments.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now we are on 7D and 7E, board candidates and district annual vote information. That includes details on application for absentee and early vote ballots. All of that information is in board docs. Are there any comments or questions on those items? Okay. 7F and 7G is ECASB and NISBA items, and 7H, liaison assignments, are all listed in board docs. Are there any board member comments on those? Ms. Poulin.
I would just like to comment on the ECASB Twist on Tech that I went to last Thursday at the BOCES Potter location.
Road, yeah.
I last year was able to go to Harkness as well, and I think that those are really invaluable opportunities, and would really like to strongly encourage board members to attend next year, because wherever it is, it's a really good learning experience for us regarding the offerings that are available to our students, who I don't think necessarily take as much advantage of some of those things or have enough awareness of them. There are so many programs that students come out of those with certificates that actually put them into the workforce, that some of them, they come out with some college credits from there. And so I think we really need to do everything that we can to raise the level of respect that there is for the BOCES programs beyond what we might have had as a mental idea of what BOCES programs are.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a CNA program. Students come out with a CNA certificate, and that's a very marketable skill, particularly right now in our world. The exercise science program that I went to, the students that come out of there with a certificate to be a personal trainer. So many of them are going to go on to college, but they can go to work right away as personal trainers, sometimes at the exercise facility of their school or university. So there are just lots of opportunities there that are being missed by many of our students.
Thank you for that report. Are there any other board member comments on Dr. Spicer?
I just wanted to highlight that SEPSA has their not only their membership meeting this week, Thursday, but also the Parent Network is coming out and presenting on autism and neurodiversity. So just given that SEPSA doesn't meet every month, but they always have an educational component, I wanted to highlight that it's this week, Thursday.
Thank you so much, Dr. Spicer. Any other comments on this? Okay, we will move on. We are on 7I, which is correspondence. All of the topics that we received as a board are listed in board docs. Based on our previous student calendar discussion, I was wondering if there's board support to send correspondence from our board to the Erie One BOCES board regarding the BOCES calendar planning considerations. such as potentially starting before Labor Day, or coordinating of staff development dates, or if feasible, approving their calendar earlier. So yes, Dr. Spicer.
Yes, please.
Okay, is there any opposition to me drafting a letter on behalf of the board regarding those things? And are there any other topics that I didn't just mention that you would want included? Mr. Biscaglia.
2 weeks in April.
I don't know if we have full board support on that.
Then I'll write it myself.
Okay.
No, because it's
Not on behalf of the board, though.
no, but well, then I'll consider it now. Who would want to do that? Because it's I've had multiple families over the years complain about February break, the fact that it's winter, kids are stuck inside. I mean, Niagara County schools do it and they don't care what BOCES does. They do it and BOCES has 1 week and 1 week. I mean, at this point, it's very frustrating when you hear it from multiple families over multiple years.
I agree. I think the February break is too quick after the Christmas break or the winter break. And to have that, to add the time either to the spring break or to get out of school a week or a few days earlier is something to explore. But, I agree with Mr. Biscaglia.
May I interject? So the 7 of the districts in Niagara County do it. They bifurcate it, not the whole county. 7 of the districts do it. And I know this discussion came up before. And just to provide background, not, anything else, but the agreement was in the BOCES 19 component districts that make up Erie 1. If there wasn't agreement from every district to do it, there would not be full support of it. And then we would have a bifurcation system, and it would be such that our students would not be in session with BOCES is, and vice versa, for a total of 5 days.
Yeah, but that's how Niagara, like Starpoint does 2 weeks, and Niagara BOCES doesn't have 2 weeks. They do February and April.
Yep, I'm just explaining.
it just
why that didn't move forward.
Dr. Brown Hall, do you have a sense of what the breakup there was in terms of the component districts?
I do not.
Okay.
No.
DSP.
Mr. Biscaglia, what was your original comment? Like something about August, maybe.
Having a 2-week break in the spring break instead of having a February break.
Got it.
Back when old people were in school, they used to have 2 weeks in April. There was no February, or they'd have a week and a half in April and there was no February.
Or whenever spring break was, whenever Easter was. Like next year.
Right. Yeah. Whenever.
March 28th.
Yeah.
Got it.
1 day off of the February break.
All right.
Or even having.
You're right.
You had President's Day right, in February.
Right.
President's Day.
Okay. Is there any other comments on this before we move on? Okay. We are now making a motion to approve agenda items 9 minutes, 10 personnel, 11 business and finance, and 12 exceptional education, special needs, and student activities as presented. Is there a motion? Dr. Spicer. Second is Ms. Bleckenshire. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you to the following retirees for their service to the district. Lynn Clark, HR Department with 18 years of service. Michael Konyeko, Head Custodian, Transit Middle School with 31 years of students, 30 of service. Amy Snyder, Teacher Aide, South High School with 7 years of service. And Donna Shatowski, Cleaner, Heim Middle School with 13 years of service. Congratulations and thank you. We are now on item 13. May I have a motion for the first reading and review of Policy Update 7560, Notification of Sex Offenders as presented? Ms. Bleckenshire, Dr. Spicer, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. May I have a motion for the second reading and review and adoption at the May 26th meeting? Dr. Spicer, Mr. Manna, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Item 14A, May I have a motion to resolve that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Williamsville Central School District Board of Education adopts the proposed Erie One BOCES administrative budget for 2026-2027 in the amount of $4,255,646 as presented. Ms. Poulin, Dr. Singh, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Item 14B. At this time, we will conduct the Erie One BOCES board member election. Would someone like to make a motion to cast one vote for an Erie One BOCES board candidate? Ms. Poulin.
I would like to resolve to cast one vote for Janet McGregor Plar, the incumbent located in the Frontier Central School District, to serve as a trustee for the Board of Cooperative Educational Services, First Supervisory District of Erie County, in a term beginning July 1st, 2026 through July 30th, 2029.
It was through June 30th, just to clarify, 2029. And is there a second? Ms. Fletch. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. May I have a motion to cast another vote for an Erie One BOCES board candidate? Ms. Bleckinger.
I'd like to resolve to cast one vote for John Sherman, the incumbent located in the Tonawanda City School District, to serve as a trustee for the Board of Cooperative Educational Services, First Supervisory District of Erie County, in a term beginning July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029.
Thank you, Ms. Bleckinger. Is there a second? Dr. Singh, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. There are no matters to discuss under 15 district facilities, 16 instruction, and 17 legislative matters. We are now on 18. Does anyone have a topic to discuss under committee of the whole? Mr. Manna.
Thank you. We received a correspondence regarding if the district is interested in selling a parcel of land that we own. We own several parcels throughout the town. And, you know, when I know Dr. Brownell sent information out maybe last year about the parcels that we own. And I think it's time that we start looking at selling our excess property or surplus property. We own several properties. It's a little less than 100 acres total. I think it's prime developable property. We did sell a parcel of land in 2017 for $220,000. I know a few years ago we had an appraisal done on another piece of property. So I think there is interest out there. I think, you know, in conversations with Dr. Brownhall, he mentioned that one of the properties was maybe envisioned as the home of future Williamsville West. There's not going to be a Williamsville West. There's not going to be a Williamsville North by Northwest. I think the cost of building a school and the infrastructure from the ground up is just out of the realm of possibility. If we had to expand, we'd probably expand in our current footprint. So, you know, it'd be a legal process. We could probably engage our legal team on it to sell the land with public notice, of course. So I guess what I'm looking for is their interest in this endeavor.
Can I just make one clarification? The reason the district held the property or received it or got it many years ago because the vision was for Williamsville West. At this point, Dr. Brownhall is not proposing a Williamsville West, nor did we think about that. I just want to clarify.
Right.
I don't want people saying he's trying to build nothing.
No,
Not at all.
no.
All right.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Any discussion on this matter? Ms. Bleckinger.
Dr. Brownhall, are there any future plans for that land? Not necessarily a school, but something.
When this came up, I think it came up maybe 2 years ago, and I provided the board members with all the parcels of land, and there was interest in actually having a solar farm there with solar panels, and that was in partnership with the town, but that never materialized.
If I may, we had a presentation for SIAC on solar energy and looking at that, and that was brought up at that time. And the engineer who was with us was saying that that really wasn't a sustainable way to have solar energy. You really needed it much closer to the source. So the cables and everything that you would need to get it from that property to our facilities would negate anything that we would gain because of that. So that would not be a good use of that. And I will just add, I know that one of the reasons that we have hung on to some of that property in discussions that we had previously was that, yes, it is developable land, but that developable land will then be more students in our district that we may not be able to house. So it's going to be a trade-off of the cost of expanding those schools and so forth. So,
Well, according to our population report,
Yeah.
population does decrease. So
out of your building.
True, but it might even out eventually.
Any other discussion on this topic? I guess, is there support then to at least explore this as a possibility, which is, I believe, what you're
Yes.
asking, correct?
Yes.
I would support that.
Okay. So Mr. Mena is proposing that we look at the land that we have and exploring whether we should sell it. Ms. Bleckinger will do an informal motion as a second. Is there any other discussion before we take an informal vote? Dr. Singh.
Is this only this piece of land or all pieces of land?
Well, we own 3. All right. Some are larger, and I would propose that we look at, selling all of them or part of. I mean, some of the land that we own, one parcel is like directly behind Maple East, goes to Bassett Road. Right next to, there's a nursing home there. Millard Suburban Hospital is there. So, I mean, some land's gonna be worth more than others. Maybe you want to keep some of the land, maybe for a future solar farm or for a future expansion. Again, on our current footprint, we might need some acreage behind that parcel in particular. But I think that there's a way to divest the district of a lot of our land. So I don't have an answer. I guess it's really whatever we can hold on to that's reasonable and bring some income back. So I don't have an answer. I really don't.
I mean, it could be leasing or selling, right?
I think if someone's going to develop it, they want to buy it, and I'm sure, I don't know. I think they're all zoned. They might, maybe Maple East is zoned commercial facility. I don't know. The other ones might be zoned residential, but whoever buys it is going to have incumbent on them to then get any rezoning they want for whatever development. And then it's out of our hands. We sold it. And they got to go through the town and go through the rezoning. But I think it's something that it's money that's out there that the district could use. It's land we're never going to use. All that land, I don't think we're ever going to use. So why not?
So, and just go ahead, Mr.
Is the
Biscaglia.
land behind Maple East sometimes used for soccer and lacrosse games and things like that?
Well, it's called vacant property or surplus property. So I think it's behind whatever property that Maple West uses in their footprint.
Maple East.
Maple East.
Really, the discussion is focused on whether or not we should move forward with exploring this. So all these questions are great questions, but
Exactly.
these are questions that we'd want to ask in trying to make a determination. The question tonight is whether we want to move forward in the exploration. Okay. So is there any opposition to moving forward with an exploration?
A neutral exploration, yes.
A neutral exploration.
Perfect.
Absolutely. And Mr. Mena, did you foresee this as then going to legal to look at the next steps or a committee to look at next steps? Or did you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I guess we would have to have somebody who would understand what, like parcel specific, again, Maple East, is there a parcel portion of that we want to keep? We don't have to sell all of that, but the other parcels seem to be vacant land, really not attached to any school district use. So I think it'd be, again, parcel specific. I'm not the expert on, what we would need at that parcel behind Maple East. Maybe some of our facility people are, and they can make a recommendation, and then we could go to legal and say, here's what we want to sell, and advise us of the process and begin it.
Dr. Brown Hall, do you have a suggestion?
I do, and so that's a good point. I believe the last time we did this and we got an appraisal for some of the property and some of how it was zoned, what it could be used for. Tom Matursky hired a firm to give us all that information.
I think there was one parcel we saw.
Parcel, right.
On Shellis, I think. Yes.
On Shellis Road. But if we did that with all the parcels, it would give the board a better understanding of what's available, what it can be used for. And then if the committee or the board decides to move forward to put a piece of property up for sale, then we can work with our attorneys to figure out what we would do that, because we would need to hire some sort of firm to actually represent us.
Right, because we have to have it appraised before we could sell it. So we're making sure we're selling it at market value.
Absolutely.
So Dr. Brown Hall, what you're suggesting is the first step would be with a consultant.
Correct.
Okay, so are we all in agreement with moving forward, having a consultant look into this? Okay. Salil, did you have something? I'm sorry.
I was just curious, is there like a buyer in mind already for like a certain piece of land?
No, and that's an important question, because if we're going to sell any property, it has to be put out to public bid.
Right.
So anybody could bid on it. We would not say, okay, you asked to buy the land, we're going to sell it to you. Legally, it has to be made publicly available, and we want to do that. We want to drive the price up.
Because we're a municipality.
Yes.
Are you planning, or like, do you think like the board would plan on selling it just to the highest price, or is there like a minimum price that if no one's willing to pay, you wouldn't sell the land?
Oh, I mean, I'm just speculating. I'm certainly not answering for the board, but I would say it has to be worth it. We're not going to sell it for $1. You know, we're going to have it appraised. Right now, when you buy land, it's like anything else. You're speculating on its future value. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. I don't know what wetlands, if there are any on that property, which would, if it's 50 acres now, it might be only 20, 30 acres that can be developed because of wetlands. I don't know the condition of the property. That all factors into not only just what it appraises at, but what somebody's willing to pay for it based on whether or not they can get a return on the investment. So it's a big question. I don't know.
I think right now, what we've decided is we're going to move forward of having a consultant gather some information for us regarding it, and that we'll come back to the board before we make any further decisions. So anything else before we move on? Okay, thank you. We are now on item 19A, second public expression. If anyone in the audience would like to speak at this time, please step up to the podium.
Ms. Bogner.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I didn't know we were moving on from committee of the whole. I wanted to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you had something under committee of the whole. Go ahead, DSP.
Okay. I did want to briefly touch on the calendar. I looked at the survey that the district did and about the start time and what it should be, and the vote was split. And no matter what, what date it was chosen, it would mean like some families would be happy and some families wouldn't be happy. And that's the nature of it. Recently, I talked with an attorney, and what struck me and it was a attorney that graduated from Millersville South 30 years ago. Something that struck me that when speaking to him is how much has changed. He mentioned that back then students had to miss school days for religious holidays, and as they weren't widely recognized on the calendar. But today our calendars reflect the diversity of our community, and students who don't personally celebrate certain holidays still get to have time off. And I think that's something worth acknowledging, and it shows how far Millersville has come in making sure all students feel seen. And I think that's something that we can all appreciate no matter what start time date is.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, that was that happened a few years ago when we recognized those holidays and added them to the school calendar. So thank you for that positive feedback. All right, I'm sorry. Was there anything else under committee of the whole before we move on? Okay, thank you. And I don't believe anyone was stepping up to the podium for public expression, so I will move on. This concludes our regular board meeting. Our special meeting budget public hearing is on May 7th at 6 p.m. with the PTSA Council School Board Candidates Night to follow at 7 p.m. The budget vote and school board member election is on May 19th. And our next regular board meeting is May 26th. Is there a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting? Dr. Spicer, Ms. Fletcher, all in favor?
Let's go Sabres.
Carried unanimously. Let's go Buffalo.
No.